I never thought I'd be the guy telling one of those HOA horror stories. But here I am, still shaking my head at how it all went down. My name's Mike, and I've lived in this quiet suburban neighborhood for over a decade. It's not one of those gated communities with ironclad rules. My house is on the edge, technically outside the HOA boundaries. When I bought it, the real estate agent made a big deal about that. No HOA fees, no NOC board members telling you how to mow your lawn. Sounded perfect for a single dad like me, raising my 2 kids after my wife passed away 5 years ago. The house holds so many memories. Her garden in the back, the swing set we built together. It's not fancy, but it's ours, and I've fought tooth and nail to keep it through tough times, working double shifts as a mechanic to make ends meet. Trouble started last summer when Karen moved in next door.
Yeah, her real name's Karen. Irony at its finest.
She was the new HOA president, elected after some dramatic board shakeup I only heard about through the grapevine. From day one, she eyed my property like it was a blight on her perfect vision of the neighborhood. My yard wasn't immaculate, with the kids' bikes scattered and a few weeds poking through. But hey, it's not HOA territory. I got a polite note first. Dear neighbor, please consider aligning your property standards with our community's guidelines for a harmonious living environment. I chuckled and tossed it. But Karen didn't stop there. She started showing up at my door, clipboard in hand, lecturing me about how my unkempt appearance was lowering property values. You might not be in the HOA, she'd say with that fake smile, but your eyesore affects us all. Things escalated when she claimed my driveway encroached on HOA land. It was nonsense. I'd had the property surveyed when I bought it. But Karen was relentless. She sent certified letters demanding I remove a small shed I'd built for my tools, saying it violated some obscure setback rule that supposedly applied even to non-members. I ignored them at first, but then the fines started arriving. Wait, fines? From an HOA I wasn't part of. Turns out she was using some loophole about common areas and had convinced the board to slap liens or something. I called a lawyer friend who laughed it off. She's bluffing, Mike. You're not in their jurisdiction. But the stress was real. My daughter, Lily, who's 12, started having nightmares about us losing the house. My son, Jake, 15, would ask why that mean lady hated us. It hit hard, reminded me of losing their mom, that feeling of the ground shifting under you. One evening, Karen knocked furiously. Your dog is barking too much. It's a nuisance. My old lab buddy barely woofs anymore. I told her politely to leave, but she whipped out her phone and started recording, yelling about how I was hostile and she'd report me to the city. That's when I realized this wasn't just petty. It was personal. Maybe she saw me as an easy target, a widower scraping by. The next week, a city inspector showed up, tipped off by an anonymous complaint about code violations. Nothing major, but fixing them cost me $500 I didn't have. I dipped into the kids' college fund, hating every second. Nights were sleepless, replaying her smug face, wondering how someone could wield so much power over nothing. I decided enough was enough. Revenge? Not my style, but justice? Absolutely. I started digging quietly. First, I pulled my property records from the county. Confirmed 0 HOA involvement. Then, I joined the neighborhood Facebook group under a fake name, lurking on posts about Karen. Turns out she wasn't popular. Complaints about her fining people for holiday lights too early, or banning kids' lemonade stands. One thread mentioned her own house, rumors of an unpermitted addition she'd built last year. Bingo. I drove by discreetly. Yep, a fancy sunroom tacked on the back, no visible permits, but I needed proof. I reached out to a buddy in the building department. Ethically, of course, just public records. Turns out no permit filed for that addition. It was a clear violation. And in our town, that could mean hefty fines or even forced removal. I also learned Karen had been pushing the HOA to expand boundaries, trying to annex properties like mine without proper votes. That was illegal under state law. HOAs can't just swallow up non-members without consent and due process. Planning the turnaround felt like a chess game. I gathered evidence, photos of her sunroom, copies of permits or lack thereof, and screenshots from the group where she bragged about cleaning up the neighborhood. I even found emails she'd sent to the board, leaked by a disgruntled member, showing her targeting me specifically because my house didn't fit the aesthetic. It was bullying, plain and simple. My heart raced thinking about the confrontation, but I channeled that into strategy. I consulted a real estate attorney pro bono through a local clinic. Turns out her actions bordered on harassment, and I could sue for emotional distress. The climax hit at the next HOA meeting. Open to the public since they discussed community issues, I showed up unannounced, kids in tow for moral support. Lily held my hand tight. Karen was presiding, all prim and proper, when public comments opened. I stood, voice steady despite the nerves. I'd like to address the board about ongoing harassment from your president. The room went silent. I laid it out. My property's independence, her false claims, the inspector calls. Then, the bombshell. I projected photos of her sunroom on my phone to a borrowed screen. This addition lacks permits, violating city code. And here's evidence of your attempts to illegally expand HOA boundaries. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Karen's face turned beet red. She stammered, "This is outrageous. You're not even a member." But the board wasn't buying it. Turns out several members had their own grudges. One piped up, "We've been getting complaints about you, Karen." Chaos ensued, arguments, calls for her resignation. I didn't gloat. I just stated facts. By the end, she was voted out on the spot, 5-2. The new interim president apologized profusely, promising to drop all claims against me. As we left, Karen cornered me in the parking lot, hissing, "You'll regret this." But her voice cracked. Power gone, just a bitter woman exposed. Karma didn't stop there. The city fined her $2,000 for the unpermitted work and ordered partial demolition. She put her house on the market within months, selling at a loss from what I heard. Me? I got peace. No more notes, no inspectors. The kids and I planted new flowers in the garden, honoring their mom's memory without fear. Financially, it was tight, but a small GoFundMe from sympathetic neighbors covered the costs I'd incurred. I learned that standing up isn't about revenge, it's about protecting what's yours. But damn, seeing her downfall felt good. If you've got an HOA nightmare like this, or worse, drop it in the comments below. What's the craziest thing a Karen's tried on you? Hit like if you cheered for the win and subscribe for more stories where everyday folks triumph over the bullies. You never know when you'll need that inspiration.